How do we clean up the welfare state?
Oh yeah, so this is a separate topic, but of course it's relevant because it
Yeah.
has to do with Bernie Sanders' sort of broader political vision and the Democrats' failure to have any sort of vision whatsoever. So this is just based on a paper that Matt Bruenig wrote called "Cleaning Up the Welfare State," which he published in the People's Policy Project, and I thought it was really good, and so I wanted to take a moment to look at it in Jacobin. So I wrote an article called "How to Clean Up the Welfare State." I obviously plagiarized his title, and this is something that I am on about a lot. I talk about this a lot. The United States has a very underappreciated welfare state. We do have a welfare state, of a sort. We certainly do a lot of public spend. There's a lot of public expenditure. It doesn't necessarily rise to the level of what you might positively call social spending or sort of like direct social spending. A lot of it is very indirect, like tax cuts and tax credits, right? And or like subsidies and vouchers and all sorts of complicated little maneuvers like that. So this is a problem in my view, and in the view of a lot of people on the socialist left, is in other countries, they have more robust welfare states that actually scan as like a single welfare state. And it's like, yeah, we pay a large portion of our income to the state, and that's a collective investment. And in return, we get the provision of the basic necessities of life, and we don't have to worry about stuff. And because we're pooling our money together to do that, we're actually getting more than we would if we paid for it individually, because it sort of has an exponential effect, right? Like I personally, with my money, can't pay for, to cover all of my needs in, X, Y, or Z department. But if we were to pay the, government to do it and then democratically decide what the government should do and what the programs should look like, then we could all have, our health care covered, or unemployment insurance, or, paid parental leave policies, these things like that. So there's a welfare state problem in the United States, which is that instead we have a lot of very meager, means tested programs that people don't really think of as being related to each other, right? And each one of them is like very difficult to navigate. And that's actually on purpose, because the reason to implement means tested programs over universal programs is to drop people from the rosters. It's to, allow people to fall through the cracks, which actually results in, reduced social spending. And it's a perfect little compromise maneuver for the Democratic Party, because they can say, look, we are the ones who are like advancing these programs, whether it's like SNAP or WIC or whatever. And that means we care about these problems, but they're means tested to bits, and not everybody is eligible. In fact, very few people are eligible. And even if you are eligible, you constantly have to prove eligibility. And if you fail to prove eligibility, then you're going to get mysteriously dropped from the rolls. You might not even know it. Right. And so it's very difficult for people to actually navigate them, which saves money. And for Democrats, this is what they want to do. They want to show people that they care about stuff while also balancing budgets in a way that allows them to give tax breaks to their donor class, their donor base.
Right.
So Democrats are obsessed with means tested programs. They're very resistant to universal social programs. Now, there is a sort of paradox here, there are exceptions to the rule. In the U.S. welfare state, there are a couple of programs that are widely beloved and that are understood and, broadly appreciated by the public, and therefore have a built-in constituency that protects them from onslaught from the right. And the more universal the programs are, the more likely they are to fall into this category. So Social Security and Medicare are the two greatest examples of this. Oh, but also like public education, for example. So Matt's idea is that, obviously we would like to move toward universal programs in general. For example, Matt Bruenig obviously is a huge advocate of Medicare for all, right? Just expanding Medicare so that it covers everybody and improving it so that it covers everything. But he also has some short-term ideas for how to actually like tidy up the welfare state so that it's not this kind of extremely labyrinthine, complicated, means-tested, lumbering bureaucratic thing that nobody really understands and nobody really loves and nobody really will fight to defend, which makes it very politically vulnerable. And so he wanted to write this paper to basically like introduce some ideas for like short-term reforms that could just kind of like tidy it up a little bit. A lot of the things that he comes up with, and I'm not going to run through them all, though I do recommend if you're interested in this, that you go read my article or read Matt's paper on this. But a lot of the things that Matt is recommending is like eliminating these cumbersome eligibility requirements and just like clearing away red tape and making it easier to both understand programs and access their benefits, and making it so that the programs cover more people with fewer headaches. Because once you start to do that to the American welfare state, you might start to get more popular buy-in into the welfare state itself, which is going to create, like I said before, a constituency that can be mobilized to defend that welfare state against assault from the right wing. The Democrats have failed to build a constituency that can protect the welfare state. In fact, they have purposely designed the welfare state in a way that suppresses enthusiasm for it, which means that they have failed to protect it from assault from the right. So this is an indictment, more than anything else, of the Democrats and the way that they've totally screwed the pooch on building a welfare state that can withstand attack.
Meagan Day, it's always such a pleasure. I appreciate your time and insight so much.